Now that it's taken care of, you want to take a look at the finished example. This photo gallery this tag is white. It has a kind of a margin, or I mean a padding on it. It is a certain width, which makes it 2/2 rather than 4 straight across. So generally focus on that. They push away from each other, so you use margin to create little gaps. So I'll let you experiment with that and make that happen. Next thing is I want to click this tag and go to a bigger version of that picture. So every picture needs to have its own HTML page. And I'm going to do that. Let's first create the link. You can do this in any order, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to say, I'm going to eventually title this bigpic1.html. That's the page I want to go to if I click that. So that's saved. Now I need to have a BigPic1 HTML page. My suggestion is to just use one of our other pages as a template. So I'm going to do a file save as, and then call this BigPic1, just like I titled it. And then just change the content. Picture 1. Let's take that guy out. Let's save that, and you always want to save and test. So here's my photos. I want to be able to click that and go, and so it says picture 1, so I'm on the right track. So back to BigPic. Add our image tag, img src attribute, just like the href attribute. It's telling that image tag where the image file is located in my directory. So let's look. It's in images / bg01. So images / bg01. So here it is. Alright, let's change the content here to just describe the picture. A photo of metal. That's descriptive enough. This is a photo of metal. Okay. In most scenarios, we want things side by side. We want this in a column and this in a column. So we do that by creating a little structure here. You don't have to take this first step, but I recommend it. Is the two things that you want to float, this image tag and this paragraph. Normally I put them in a box saying these two are related in that they contain a right and a left or something like that. So I create a div ID and I call it columns. And it's going to hold two floating columns. So I've got to, let's go and put some. So I'm saying this is holding a right and a left column, which I'm going to create now. So this is called columns. It's just a container. I always recommend if you're going to split one in half, you have a container. So let's make another div ID column left. Close the div ID column right, GHT, close the div, So there's my structure. Columns holds column left and column right. Save and test. We shouldn't see any result because we haven't set any selectors for those. So save, let's go here. So let's first do ID column left, and then we'll copy that. I'll ID column right, and then columns. Made my type bigger so that could be seen clearer. Hope the other ones are clear enough. Okay, column left, we'll say float left, and then on column right we'll say float right, and let's check that out. Floating left, floating right. Alright, that's pretty keen. Same problem. Our surrounding parent is collapsing, and that's columns. Let's give that a background color. And that's white. Well, we shouldn't see any because it's collapsed. So let's get that stretched out again. And we do that same thing. Here's columns, here's the beginning, there's the end. So we've got a div, there's an opening, there's the closing, opening, closing, and then closing. So that's how tags are nested. And right above that we need to put one of our clear fix BR tags. So BR class equals clear fix, closes itself, so slash. Let's see if that works. It does. Also pretty keen. A lot of times with floating tags, our P has disappeared, so let's go ahead and make a selector for that, I guess. So we can create an contextual selector. So columns, say P, color. What color is that blue? I think the shell or content is that colored. 099cc. Let's refresh that. Yeah, it's blue. So when you have tags side by side, often they won't work correctly until you give it a width. So this needs to be a right width, the correct width, and this needs to be the correct width. So that's a component we often forget. Sometimes the floating doesn't work until we set widths of our left and right columns. So don't forget to do that. So if we look here, I happen to know the pixel width of these. So this is 360, and if you did the math, you could figure out what the rest of it is. I know this is about 110 or so, so 360 and 110. So column left, width is 360, and the width is 110. There should be some wiggle room left, so that's cool, no problem. There'll be some padding, etc. that'll push those together, so those numbers should work out. If not, you just, well, I forgot the PX on both of those. Okay, there's the shift. So that's the gist of it. Kind of complicated in its process, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Essentially, right after the containing div, or the containing tag, I should say, will collapse on its floating children, and so you need a little fix. You need a something with a property that will ignore those, and in turn stretch those two out. And that's how it's done. All right, finish it out. There's quite a bit of stuff to figure out. Have fun.